Hey, Vinyl Junkies, Steve at Steve's Record Box, back with you again with a video of one of my last shopping trips, my stack digging, and what I found in a couple of places that I was happy to bring home. First thing, I'll jump right in and talk about I found locally here at a kind of a consignment shop, basically, that I found a couple things at before. And I've been looking for this album for a little bit. In fact, I bought a couple copies on eBay. They both turned out to be not described right and pretty well, as my buddy and I used to say, in hippie shape. Even though they look decent on the photos and online and so forth, they were not decent enough to keep. So at any rate, I found another copy just down the street from where I live in this shop of Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush, a live album, which I've really wanted for a while. And so I was pleased to see this in the stacks there. It looked decent in the shop. The cover's in nice shape. And, you know, it's an old, this is on the outer bag, so that's not on the cover itself. At any rate, this is a smoking album by Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush. I just have had bad luck finding a good copy. So in this case, took a chance, paid a little more than I usually do for an album. I thought, man, I've been looking for this for a while. I just can't find one in good shape. This one looks okay. And got it home, cleaned it with my last cleaner system and preservative system, and yeah, it's about a G plus when it plays. So, you know, you run into that from time to time. Any rate, I'm gonna keep looking. I've got a good cover. This copy is playable. The music is, you know, dynamic enough that it overcomes the pops and cracks, but I'm gonna keep an eye open for a better copy. Anyway, there's Frank Marino Mahogany Rush Live. And I had also found, prior to that, a copy of Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush World Anthem. And this is a really great album. I like the live album for its energy. This one is really nice. It's really good. It's got some quieter moments here and there. For a band who's pretty powerful, that's not a bad thing necessarily. And this one's in really nice shape. And so happy to add some Frank Marino to my album collection, which I had none of. You know, they kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit with the band Rush, because they're both from Canada. Their names had some similarities, obviously, and Rush was pretty popular fairly quickly. Mahogany Rush had their time in the sun too, and Frank Marino is still out there doing music. So I had heard some on the radio and really enjoyed it on XM. Some stuff that I really liked and had just kind of overlooked them for a while. So I've gotten some in my collection now. Happy about that. The other artist that I found at the store that was going out of business, which, you know, sometimes you just kind of kick yourself in the head going, why have I just sort of ignored this for, you know, who knows how long. But I love Led Zeppelin, and I had never delved into the Robert Plant solo stuff, which is really good. I mean, I just hadn't done it. And so I ran across Principle of Moments and Pictures at 11 at this fella's half off going out of business sale, both in really nice condition. This one's got the cut in the album cover, so it's cut out from back in the day, which meant they were discontinued at that time. This one is in good shape as well, has a little bit of writing on the back of the cover up here, which doesn't bother me at all. The music plays great, the albums look nice, the covers are in great shape. I now have some Robert Plant in my collection that I didn't have before, and enjoying the heck out of it. Uh, this artist I've been looking to add to what I already had because I really enjoy him. And I really enjoyed his prior band before he went off on a solo career, which was Procol Harum. Still on the search for some of the less common Procol Harum albums, but Robin Trower, who was their lead guitarist for a good period of time and then eventually left the band, Long Misty Days, Bridge of Sighs, great albums. And I have one or two others of his, but I found these, and I'm always on the lookout for, the Robin Trowers I don't have, because the guy is just phenomenal, a phenomenal guitarist. This one is For Earth Below. Plays great. Album cover is in excellent condition. I think I paid $1 for this. Cannot beat that unless you buy something for a quarter, and it's just wonderful. And then In City Dreams. I was really surprised by In City Dreams. I wasn't as excited about finding that as I was for Earth Below, just because it's a little bit later in the career, and I just had not really heard the music on there per se. I hadn't, got on and listened to it on YouTube or whatever. Really surprised by this album. I loved it, loved it. He does some things that are a little more kind of a different take, sometimes a little softer, a little more dreamy like, and that kind of thing. And this guy can really power in a Jimi Hendrix style. So, to do that was really pulling it back some. Loved it, loved it. And so happy to have some more Robin Trower. And then, one of my goals is to eventually get all the Jethro Tull that I really want. And I have quite a few Jethro Tull albums, but I did not have a good copy of A Passion Play. I didn't have any copy of A Passion Play. This one's beautiful, just in beautiful shape. The most I paid for any album from that sale was $2.50. So they were all either $1, $2, no, $1, $1.50, and the most was $2.50. So anywhere in that price range. And this one I think was maybe $1.50 or $2. It's in beautiful. The cover doesn't look like it's ever been, scuffed up by anything. Still got the tipped in booklet for the play. Jethro Tull, does their crazy thing, and I love it. The music on here is fabulous. It's just fabulous. So adding that to my Jethro Tull selections, A Passion Play. Now, a couple albums that may not have heard of before. This is a band that I was familiar with from back in the day, and I mean back in the day being the early 70s. They had one big hit, and then they had another kind of a little bit minor hit off of their debut album. The big hit was Get It On. The kind of second hit from this album, which didn't get quite as much play, was Handbags and Glad Rags, and that's the band Chase. This is their self-titled initial release. Came out, I believe, in '71. Bill Chase is kind of the leader of the band. This is an amazing, amazing group. And I would grab any other Chase albums that you find, because if you enjoy the power of the horn section in Chicago, and Blood, Sweat, and Tears, there's some other one, anything the Muscle Shoals horns played on. If you like a good rock and roll horn section, you're gonna love Chase. These guys can absolutely blow. They put out a number of albums. Tragically, Bill Chase, I believe, I forget if he was killed in an accident or he just died young. I want to say he was killed in an accident. But these dudes have a pedigree that just keeps going on and on. The liner notes back here are Invaluable by Nat Hentoff. Really a jazz pedigree for a lot of these guys, and then they just decided, hey, we're going to play rock and roll, but we still know our jazz chops, so that's going to get worked in. This is fantastic. Highly recommend Chase. And then some of the side projects from well-known groups is something that I've always been interested in. This is one. This is the album by the title Baron von Tollbooth and the Chrome Nun. Some of you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you won't. But the main players on this album were Paul Kantner, Grace Slick, and David Freiberg. Paul Kantner, Grace Slick, Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship. And what a wonderful album cover. I've known about this album since it came out back in the 70s. The music is tremendous. You can definitely hear the Jefferson Airplane influences here. The music is just tremendous. And then, one of the reasons vinyl is making a great comeback is people are falling in love again with album art and, just the artistic production of the sleeve around the music. That was a big part of what was so great about that time period, was the combination of the music and the art and the music hand in hand. So highly recommend Baron von Tollbooth and the Chrome Nun. It's fantastic. This copy I wish was played a little better. It's good, but I'll probably be on the lookout for a better playing copy if I run across one. Otherwise, yay me. This one is one that I think I ended up paying the most for from that particular sale, which was $2.50. And I was so excited when I saw it because it's in really, really nice shape. Plays very well. I did all cleaning and preserving to all these albums that I'm showing you. And I love Quincy Jones. So this is one of his early ones on Mercury. Quincy's got a brand new bag. So it's, it doesn't have the same, say, polish as some later albums like Gula Matari, Body Heat. Some of the other stuff that Quincy did later on was, you could tell the progression in his abilities as a musician, conductor, arranger, and so on. But this is really cool. It just reflects the time frame, which, late 60s. It's still, the music is so beautifully played. The arrangements are so creative. It's got Quincy Jones touch all over it. And I didn't have this, so I grabbed that and just was skipping out the door with it. This I also was excited to find because I did not have any of their music beforehand, and this may be somebody that a lot of people are aware of and know some of the backstory of this band. But the Nice, Ars Longa Vita Brevis is the name of the album, which is Latin, loosely translated into Art is Forever, Life is Short. That's basically the concept behind the phrase. And the preeminent member is Keith Emerson in this band, along with two other guys. For a short time they were a quartet, and then they turned into a trio. This is their second album. Goes back to, I believe it is 1969 or 70. Was originally released on Immediate Records in the UK. And this is a Columbia Special Products reissue from 73. It's in good shape. It's playable, enjoyably playable. It has some pops and cracks and stuff in it in the quiet moments, but it's really, really interesting psychedelic rock with the prog thrown in of Keith Emerson and his keyboards that, you know, you just hear where he's heading when he gets to Emerson, Lake and Palmer. This is a really great album. I didn't have any albums by The Nice. So there was a big hit at least in the UK on here, which was their version of America from West Side Story, which is really great. I have a couple of videos up of a couple of cuts off of this album on my Facebook page, and also under my YouTube channel for Steve's Record Box, so you can hear some of what that sounds like. There's some crazy stuff on here too. Definitely that part throws it into the psychedelic era, and well represented there. So The Nice, Ars Longa Vita Brevis. So switching gears for a second, I also made another run back to one of Indianapolis' premier record shops, which is Square Cat Vinyl in the Fountain Square neighborhood of Indianapolis, near southeast side of downtown. Knowing that their budget bin, which is where I always hit first, was going to have something that would catch me. And their budget bin, all the albums in that bin are $3. So I knew going in, you know, where I was going to land, and again with a budget, and I stuck to it. So, you know, as long as I'm doing that, I think I can justify, at least to myself, bringing home some more records. So one of the first ones that I found in there, I got excited about. And I've talked before about any albums that you find on the CTI label, Creed Taylor Incorporated label, which is was a sub-label or conjunction initially with A&M Records, owned by Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss. Any record on a CTI label is definitely worth getting. Some of them are better than others, but some are fabulous, some are great, some are just really good, and it's all great jazz. So I was happy to find a really nice copy of Herbie Mann, Glory of Love, which, you know, I did not have, and I've got very little in the way of Herbie Mann. I think the only album of his that I have in my collection prior to this is Push Push, which is a great, great album. But Herbie Mann, Glory of Love. The nice thing about CTI albums is that they have basically a stable of musicians that would put out, you know, albums under their name, and everybody else played on it. And then somebody on that list would put out an album, and all the other musicians would play on it. So great stuff. Love jazz flute, and Herbie Mann does not disappoint. Beautiful album. This one I picked up, excuse me, despite the fact that, you know, cover's a little bit funky, but the album is in nice shape, and I didn't have any of Delaney and Bonnie and Friends. This is a best of. So, you know, for me, I was happy to start, you know, down the road with Delaney and Bonnie with a best of, because I honestly somehow kind of missed them. I knew about them, but I kind of missed them back in the day, as far as, you know, picking up albums and really digging into what they were about. So it's a great place to start with a best of, in this case for me, and then, you know, I can always find other stuff later on that if I choose to, because I do see them from time to time. This one was another drilled cutout, so it had been a discontinued at some point in time, and goes back to 1972. But great music on here. I knew it would be. I mean, Delaney and Bonnie were, you know, musicians that played on a lot of other people's records, and then had also albums out on their own. But you've got a list of musicians, you know, backing them up here, like Eric Clapton, you know, if I can read this, Leon Russell, Yeah, Delaney and Bonnie Bramlett, of course, are the two main. Bobby Whitlock, Carl Radle, um, Jim Keltner on drums, Rita Coolidge. I mean, you can't go wrong when you're stacking the deck with musicians like this. So it's great, great, um, a little bit rootsy sort of music for that time, but they can rock it out too. So highly recommend Delaney and Bonnie. So this next group is one that I have planned on profiling, and I'm going to do probably an individual profile on this band at some point. But I had one of their albums, and I've had it since I was in the record business and got it as a promo. And it was somebody that I had never heard of, and I had not heard of really since then. So one of those British bands from the 80s that might have had more popularity in England than they ever did here. Kissing the Pink. I know, bizarre name for a band, but Kissing the Pink. And so I knew they had some other albums, and I ran across in this digging trip at Square Cat Vinyl one of their later albums when they were going under the name KTP. I'm not sure, if there was anybody around when they were putting this in the budget bin who knew anything about Kissing the Pink or KTP being the same band. So, cover's in kind of ratty shape. It's been water damaged at some point. There's a little bit of the surface of the album cover that's been torn off here. And there's some writing on the back of the cover and so forth. But if the album had been in hippie shape, I would have passed it by, even though I rarely would have run across anything like this. It's not worth a lot of money, but I don't care. The music is worth way more than its monetary value. And when I pulled it out and saw how clean it was, I'm like, okay, that's going home. This is really good stuff. I really have been revisiting a lot of like 80s new wave kind of bands, art rock stuff. A lot of it's British, and I just love it. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know why that style is really resonating, but it is. So picked up this Kissing the Pink. Certain Things Are Likely is the name of the album. And the thing that's likely about this is the music's going to be good, and it was, and is. So, good for me. And then another musician, sort of from that same time period, that I really enjoy, and I have a number of his albums, but I didn't have the first album that he put out for, again, don't know why, just didn't. So I haven't continuously over decades been collecting records. I had a big flurry of record collecting back when I was in the business, and then I didn't for a while, and now it's kind of rekindled again. So Joe Jackson's Jumpin' Jive. This is a fairly well-known album. Again, it's not extremely valuable, and yet the music is priceless. Fantastic. Jumpin' Jive describes that music to a T. If you haven't heard Joe Jackson, look him up online, sample some stuff. You're going to be excited to hear the music if you haven't heard his music before. If you know about him and understand that I just didn't have this album and I got a beautiful copy of it, for $3, then hopefully you're happy for me, because I'm happy about it. Great stuff. Okay, only a couple more to go here. Both of these I profiled recently on my Facebook page, Steve's Record Box, and also the same Steve's Record Box on YouTube channel. So you can look there for some sound samples of some cuts off of both these albums. But I had one Steve Hackett album before, Steve Hackett being one of the founding members of Genesis and their lead guitarist while he was in the band. And I just don't think about it too much. Haven't played it in a while. But I saw this in the stacks at Square Cat, and I thought, okay, I know this guy is really good. I know, you know, from being in Genesis that his style is kind of prog rock, which again is a genre that I really, really like. So $3, you know, I can try it and just see how it is. Man, this is a great album. I love this. I believe it's his second solo album from after he left the band. And so this one I hadn't ever heard or seen before, and cleaned it up, put it on the record player, and it was clean to start with. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful record. So encourage you to find any Steve Hackett that you can out there and put it on your table. And then last but not least, another band that I profiled recently. This is an EP, which I don't always go for, of The Alarm. We're in the 80s, we're back in England, and it's got a little bit of the punk edge to it, but it's also leaning into you know, the new age, new wave kind of music from that time period. And these guys really, really jam. So this one has, you know, their big hit is The Stand. That's on here, and then there's some other great music. I profiled The Stand and Marching On my channels. And of course I got copyright claims, but you know, what are you gonna do? Everything is. Highly recommend The Alarm if you like that genre, and then seek out anything else by them. 68 Guns is a great cut from a different album that they put out. Anyway, that's it. That's my recent haul. Just so excited to find those, and they're all going in my collection right now. I need to probably go through and pull stuff out and pare down a little bit, but that's really hard for me to do. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. You know, feel free to like, share, comment, and you know, I'll try, if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Till next time, rock on.